Okay, everyone, well, this is going to be my final video of E3 coverage for day 2, okay? Now, previously, I've already made videos about the Nintendo Direct broadcast that happened today, as well as the Killer Instinct controversy, which, amazingly, came to light during my video. When people on the stream linked me to some information, we got the full story actually hashed out about the true nature of Killer Instinct and what it's going to be. But there were still some concerns that I talked about when it regards to running tournaments for the game, so definitely check that video out if you haven't. This video is going to be a very short news roundup. There's like 2 or 3 bullet points that I want to talk about that kind of really jumped out at me today that I think we should discuss a little bit. And then finally, I'm going to open up my stream. As you know, I live stream these shows to Q&A, where people are going to be able to ask some questions. I'll toss a couple answers back. Maybe we'll get a little bit of dialogue going, but it's not going to be too long because it's actually getting late and I want to wrap up tonight. Oof, I'm also exploding, apparently. I feel like I'm going to just vomit all over. Okay, so, alright, the first news point that was all over gaming news today. After yesterday, after the after the Sony press conference, where Sony basically slammed Microsoft and said, listen, we are not going to have any 24-hour kind of requirement. We are not going to hassle you and say you can't trade in your games, you can't resell your games, you can't buy used games. So after that blatant statement, today, more information was actually obtained. And they were actually interviewing Jack, I think his name is Jack Tretton. Forgive me because I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was the guy who made the big announcement yesterday. He made those big bullet point announcements in the press conference. And they asked him, so what is the approach to DRM? Now, if you don't know what that is, that's digital rights management, and this is the method by which game companies are trying to prevent piracy. So they're saying, what is your attitude towards DRM? What's going to happen? And basically, Jack responded and said, listen, I didn't say in the press conference that there will never be DRM. Don't misunderstand me. What I said was that Sony will not be adding any additional DRM to what already exists. So if the third-party publishers decide of their own accord that they want to find some kind of DRM system to their games, then so be it. They can do that. We're not going to forbid that, but we're not going to hassle you and hassle the gamer and add anything additional. So basically what this means is that certain companies such as EA, who in the past have said that they're going to have online passes. You only get this is a day one DLC that you get if you purchase the game new, but only if you purchase it new. That kind of a deal could still continue in the future. And even though EA just recently announced they are discontinuing that practice, and the last EA game that I played did not have an online pass, there's no telling that they might not just go back on that and say, oh, well, for PlayStation 4, because they don't have all the safeguards of the Xbox One, we're going to reinstate all those practices. So I think some people got a little bit upset today and said, oh, that's a bait and switch. We thought that there would never be DRM for the PS4, but that's not true. Jack never said that. Jack didn't say there's no possibility of that. He just said, we're not going to do what Xbox is doing. We're not going to hinder you and say you can't trade in your games. That's completely up to the game publishers and the third-party developers. So that's a little bit of clarification right there, just so everyone understands the situation. We may just have to put up with the same kind of stuff, online passes and things, that we have in the past when it comes to the PlayStation 4. Today there was also clarification on what a lot of people were misconceiving and or misreporting yesterday regarding 2 blockbuster games that were announced during the Sony press conference. So the games that I'm talking about are Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. Real quick recap, if you didn't see my roundup video from yesterday when I talked about the Sony press conference, Final Fantasy 15 is a renaming of Final Fantasy Versus 13. They just scrapped the whole thing and said, forget it, take the game and make it Final Fantasy 15. It's been too long since Final Fantasy 13 came out to be saying this is another game along their parallel. It takes place in the same universe, but it's completely different characters and a completely different plot line. It's not even related to the other story. Therefore, make it its own game. So that's Final Fantasy 15. And yesterday it was announced that, yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be released. They are developing it. So the misconception here was that these games were shown during the Sony press conference, and you have reporters, and this is the problem at E3, these reporters that are misinformed and they jump the gun. Oh, they're PlayStation 4 exclusives. Oh my god, Sony won the press conference, that's it. Oh my god, they're PlayStation 4 exclusives, I can't believe it. Oh my god, they never said that. They never said that in the press conference, that they were PlayStation 4 exclusives. just because they presented them during the press conference for Sony doesn't mean that they're console exclusive. And so the big thing today was that people went down to the showroom floor, walked over to see the displays of those games, and they said, oh, by the way, coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So some people were like, oh, shit, we completely just overblew that situation yesterday, and we misinterpreted exactly what exactly was being said in the press conference. Now, for whatever reason, there seems to be some disappointment. Like, some people are like, oh, well, that's so sad, because I really wished that Kingdom Hearts 3 could have been a console exclusive. To which I say, why? If you were already going to buy a PlayStation 4, and you're like a Sony fan, I'm not saying fanboy, but you're just a Sony fan, and you were happy that it's going to be on the PlayStation 4, why are you upset or disappointed that it's on another console too? You know what I mean? Like, that is just, it blows my mind. Plus, more than likely what you need to understand is that the Xbox versions of those games, or Xbox One versions of those games, are actually going to be ports. I really doubt that it got developed for Xbox first and then gets ported to PlayStation. It's probably vice versa. That's really how Square Enix has been doing things. So you have to understand that more than likely, if you get it on PlayStation 4, you'll probably, and I'm not saying 100%, you're probably going to be getting the superior version of the game regardless. So there's no reason to be upset, and I really don't understand why a lot of people were upset that, oh, I wanted just to be on my favorite console and not on another. People need to calm down about that. It's not that big of a deal. And, excuse me. And, you know, I understand that it's the console wars all over again, and that's why a lot of people feel this way, but just, I would be happy. Okay, more people get to play the game. That means the game will be more popular. Cool. Rather than, damn, well, it's only on one console. It's great for me, but what about the people that aren't getting the console? Now they don't get to experience this game. It actually hurts the game in the long run if you really think about it, okay? All right. So that's pretty much it. The only other thing is, I do want to say that Dead Rising 3 is definitely an exclusive to Xbox One, and I think a lot of people were surprised at that, and they were thinking maybe that was a misinformation from yesterday, that maybe at the Microsoft press conference that was a misstatement. No. Apparently, Dead Rising 3 is 100% an Xbox One exclusive, and therefore you have to have the Xbox One to play it. You know, I think some people are upset about that, and understandably, because Dead Rising 2 was cross-platform. And so to go back to the old way after having Dead Rising 2, I can understand why you'd be a little bit upset, but that's the breaks, okay? Okay, so now what we're going to do is open up to a little bit of Q&A. Very limited. It's going to be short. It's not going to be a long, overblown thing of Q&A, but I do want to see if anyone has any interesting questions and anything that maybe I could actually answer, you know, in an interesting method. And I guess we'll see. So, let's take a look, everyone. Go ahead and start shooting me questions in the chat, and we'll see if I could draw any interesting ones. Hold on a second. Very good. I'm glad that someone just brought this up in the stream chat. There was clarification today in regards to the online capabilities of the PlayStation 4, okay? Because yesterday in the press conference for Sony, there was actually a bullet point that a lot of people skipped over because it was in the same slide as a lot of the other stuff that they were talking about. They were better than the Xbox One, that they weren't going to be doing these things. One of the bullet points said that online multiplayer is capable through PlayStation Plus. A lot of people missed this, and they were like, whoa, what does that mean? Wait a minute, does that mean that we have to actually pay and be a PlayStation Plus subscriber in order to play games on multiplayer online? Today it was clarified by Jack Tretton. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering his name. And he said, yes, this actually is correct. You will have to pay if you want to play games online multiplayer on the PlayStation 4. However, this is why the PlayStation Plus is from now on only going to be $5 a month. Okay? So they're trying to be competitive with the Xbox. If you want my opinion, I think they realized that having the free online service wasn't going to fucking work, that it wasn't secure enough, that they've been hacked so many goddamn times. They need to actually build a dedicated system that's not going to be a piece of crap, which unfortunately I hate to say, but a lot of the times PlayStation Network was, because probably it was a free service. So they've decided that everyone has to be a PlayStation Plus subscriber in order to play games online. Now, don't worry, you don't have to, if you're not going to play the games online, just like Xbox, you do not have to pay for the PlayStation Plus. You can opt out, and then you just play your games locally, no problem, okay? Also, it only affects multiplayer. When I say that, I mean it doesn't affect your chat functionality or any of your other online functionalities. They'll all still work. It's only the online multiplayer that will not function if you're not a PlayStation Plus subscriber. But the catch here is that you are going to get free games. Because you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you will be getting free games every month. And similarly to that, that's, I think, why Xbox One, in their press conference, they announced they're going to be doing exactly the same thing. They'll be giving away free games starting in July if you're an Xbox Gold subscriber. So I just wanted to clarify that. A lot of people, I think, were confused about that, and now that's been cleared up, okay? Okay, so now on to the questions. Let's see what people are talking about. Holy moly. Alright, this one's show me your tits, Phil. So here we go. I'm going to show them. No, I'm not going to. Did I reserve the Xbox One and PS4 yet? Yes. Actually, yesterday, right after the Microsoft press conference, since the people at my local GameStop know who I am now, they kind of found out. Someone found me on the internet, and then now they realize that this is like my career, and you know, it's important to me that I'm able to get my reserves in and stuff. They actually called me. They have my phone number on file, and they called me and said, Phil, just so you know, the reason we're calling you is because we just got word that our store is only getting 10 Xbox Ones. That's it. At launch, we're only getting 10. We're not getting any for weeks after. So if you want to be in on this, you need to get here today and reserve it. You know, we know who you are, so we'll kind of hold a reserve for you until you get here and you pay for it. So I was really appreciative of that, and between some of the press conferences yesterday, I drove over to GameStop and I actually reserved my Xbox One. Today, this morning, I got a call, incidentally, from the, and they said, well, Phil, you know, we're going to get more than 10 of the PlayStation 4, but you can come by and you can reserve it now. It's in our system. So I did it. This morning I went over there and I reserved my PlayStation 4. So I've got both of the consoles reserved, and I'm good for now. Okay. And here come 5,000 questions, none of which I could possibly read because everyone spammed them at once. Alright, yes, so I got a question on trophies versus achievement points, since it looks like I'm getting both consoles, but it sounds like the PlayStation 4 may be the go-to console from now on for cross-platform games. Will I be getting into trophies more? That was the question. For those who don't know, I purchased my Xbox 360 first before my PlayStation 3. My PlayStation 3 was something that I got a couple years later, probably about 2 years into its life cycle, okay? So I was behind the times. All the games that I've been playing were on my Xbox 360, and therefore it was just like a no-brainer from then on. If there was a cross-platform game, I was going to get it on Xbox 360, because when it came to these points, achievement points, I had a massive head start on the PlayStation. The PlayStation system has the trophy system, which is like a minor achievement is a bronze, a mid-level achievement is a silver, a really maybe strong achievement is a gold, and then like the hardest one in the game, which is usually like get all other achievements, is the platinum trophy, okay? Here's the thing. I don't get the system, okay? I don't. Like, I know that the trophies, okay, you've got 500 bronzes and 400 silvers and 100 golds and 7 platinums or whatever, but it's like, then it rates that somehow, and it ranks it to a number, and the number is your level, but now you're like, for me, it's too complicated. I like Xbox's achievement point system because just that, it's points. It's a number system, it adds, you're done. There's no, levels of skill and levels of quality of this achievement or that. It's already been quantified in a number that you get when you complete the achievement. You see the number, you know the ranking of that person. Now, he's a level 12, but he's a low level 12, and there are higher level 12s, and you get to level 12 and 13 like a role-playing game, like you're accumulating experience. I don't like that. I don't. And the other thing about the Xbox achievement point system, it's visually, instantly you can know. Instantly, you look at my gamer score, holy shit, 102,000 achievement points. You know how much I'm into gaming. Trophies, like, what the fuck is a level 8? What's a level 10? I don't know what that means. I don't know how many games you've played. I can't quantify that at all. It's a very confusing stat, and I think that Sony, in their haste to try to get an achievement-style system into the PlayStation 3 because it was such a popular and addictive part of playing games on the Xbox 360, were trying to go their own way and try to find something different, and it kind of flubbed because it's just a confusing system. I compare the trophy system on the PlayStation 3 with the very, very confusing point system on the Microsoft Xbox 360. Again, it's not dollars. It's 480 Microsoft points to rent this movie. Is that $5? Is that $6? Is that $4? How much money am I spending to buy? Oh, you want to buy the game? 1,200 Microsoft points. How much is that? I don't fucking know what the dollar value equivalent of a Microsoft point is, and it's very confusing to figure out how much you're spending. Same thing here. It's kind of, that's what I'm saying. That's the comparison. It's these weird associative types and rankings that don't immediately give you the information you need. If Xbox 360 said that's $5, I know exactly how much I'm spending, and I know the value that I'm going to get for it, and I know whether or not I want to spend that much. If the trophy system said you have 4,000, that's your ranking. Okay, he's a 4,000 something. Cool, I understand now. Versus level 12. What the fuck? I don't know what level 12 means. What's the difference between a level 12 and a level 20? It's very weird. Very, very weird. So I do not like either of those systems, and it would be nice if Sony would change it over to a quantifiable number system that is easy to understand, but I don't think they will. Am I going to be playing the PS4, the Xbox One more? Well, first of all, one thing that no one knows is when the hell they're coming out. They said, okay, November for Xbox One, holiday for PlayStation 4. I hate that term, holiday. Oh, holiday. So, it could be fucking Easter. It could be Halloween. It could be Thanksgiving. It could be my bar mitzvah. It could be my birthday. It could be Labor Day. You know what I mean? Like Christmas. What is it? What does holiday mean? And every time they say that generic thing, holiday, it never comes out at the same time. Every time a game is slated for holiday, some of them come out in November, some of them come out in December, some of them come out in a late October. And you don't know. And I don't know. I'd like to know which console's coming out first. It's going to be interesting to see who's going up to bat first. That I actually feel can be a determining factor. So, for example, Xbox 360 came out a full year before the PlayStation 3. A lot of people said, okay, this is the next gen. They got the Xbox 360. They were used to it. They felt at home playing it before the PlayStation 3 came out. And therefore, even though maybe the PlayStation 3 in the long run proved to be the more valuable system, because, you know, it has cool things like Blu-ray and shit in it, I think a lot of people just stuck with the Xbox 360. And like I said, quite literally, the only reason that I play games on Xbox 360 over the PlayStation 3 when they're cross-platform is, number one, because I have achievement points already accumulated on my Xbox. Number two, because the game's easier to do party system with, okay? So, or the system is easier to do party system with. Those are the two reasons. But if the PlayStation had come out first and I had more trophies, then maybe I would have been playing the PlayStation games as cross-platform games. I don't know, because that didn't happen. That's just a hypothetical. So it could all be up to who goes first. Now, being that both of these systems are coming out in so close a time frame, maybe in this case it won't benefit the guy who goes first. Maybe it could be like, all right, well, he went first. We're going to have a wait-and-see attitude, because I want to see how the other guys do, and then I'll make my educated decision. I don't know how many people are going to be running to buy the Xbox One or running to buy the PlayStation 4 when they kind of want to see what the other guy's going to do. I honestly, I do think that a lot of people were very worried when during the Sony press conference last night, the PlayStation 4 version of Assassin's Creed 4 crashed. It crashed the system. It locked up repeatedly during a live demo where they're supposed to be showing off the capabilities of the PlayStation 4. I think a lot of people all of a sudden are scared, and they're saying, I don't want to invest in a console where they can't even run a demo properly. Was that the problem? Was it actually a problem with the console? Is that going to happen with several games where you're going to have lockups and drops, and you're going to have to restart the game? So a lot of people may be waiting for that and saying, even though the PlayStation 4 looks great, wait and see. Let's let it launch. Let's see how it does. and then I'll actually see what one I'm going to be playing on, which one I'm going to buy. Maybe the PlayStation 4 will launch, and with launch week, everyone finds out half the games are locking up and having problems, okay? There's a lot of factors that are going to come into play when it comes to what is going to be my go-to system. I'm actually curious. I'm actually want to get my hands on the controllers as well, because if you've seen the design of both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One controller is slightly different. It's like a modified version of what they have now. And right now, I'll be honest, I like the feel of the Xbox controller better than the PlayStation. I'm curious to see when I get my hands on the new controllers, which controller am I going to like better. All this stuff is going to be a factor when it comes to what system I use for what game. So right now, I legitimately cannot answer that question. Once the consoles are released and I have a little bit more information about them, then I will have that kind of information for everybody. All right, maybe one or two more questions, and we're going to call it a night, everyone. Seeing a lot of interesting questions, and I'm having a hard time deciding which one I want to answer, honestly. Alright, so I see Hazard asking about something that I actually brought up in my recap and response video to the Microsoft press conference yesterday. I said, if you actually look at the footage and the demo that they ran of Dead Rising 3, okay, it looks like they're now trying to incorporate survival horror elements into the game. There was this one portion where the guy dropped into a building, it was pitch black, he had to tape a flashlight onto his handgun, and then he started looking around. Oh, the zombies jump out of the darkness, and of course he has to try to survive. And then when he got out to the street, he got on top of a car, and he was surrounded by zombies, and it was almost a feeling of terror, okay? That wasn't really present in the previous Dead Rising games. The previous Dead Rising games were kind of campy. They were kind of like over-the-top ridiculous in a lot of parts. That's why you would wear these ridiculous outfits, the banana hammock from Dead Rising 2, running around with these weird weapons, hacking and slashing at zombies. Now, not to say that those weird weapons don't exist. They do. They are really there in the game, but it does look like the game may be taking a different artistic direction, let's put it that way. I don't know how that's going to do. What I know is this. People have been complaining recently that games that are supposed to be horror aren't horror anymore. They're not scary. Perfect case here. Resident Evil 6. A lot of people said, that's not horror. I was never scared during the game. It was just another generic third-person shooter action game. I was very disappointed with Resident Evil 6. That's what some people are saying. Not me. That's what some people are saying. So maybe they're thinking, all right, we have to have these moments where there's going to be these scares in order for it to say that this is some kind of a horror game. What constitutes horror? I don't know. Like, I don't even really know what would be the criteria to call yourself horror, and I think that may be something that that Capcom is looking at here and saying maybe we need to make the game a little bit more scary. Will it affect sales? That I can't answer yet. I guess it's all going to depend on if it really is a big part of the game. Is it only little moments like the ones that we saw in the trailer, or is it constantly happening all the time? I don't know, but I did definitely take note that it does look like they are going with a different direction when I did see the demo that was run. All right, one more question, and then we're going to call it a night, everybody. All right, this is a good question. This will top it off. Do I think that I'll be taking advantage of any of the movies or I'm sorry, I think it's called Video Unlimited and Music Unlimited features of the PlayStation 4, being that Sony Pictures and Sony Studios own a lot of stuff. And actually, one of the things that I mentioned yesterday was Breaking Bad. I actually really like the show Breaking Bad. It's actually made by Sony Pictures, and they made this comment yesterday that there's a possibility that they will be actually providing their content that they produce exclusively through the PlayStation 4. To To which I say, I guess it'll all depend. I'd have to see, is it worth it to pay for this video unlimited service, whether or not I'm going to get enough value out of it. Music unlimited, I can tell you absolutely no. There's no way I'm going to be using that. Modern music I pretty much hate, and I don't listen to music. It was funny because there was at one point in my life when I was like a teenager that music was such a huge part of my life into college, and then it just ended there because I started to absolutely fucking detest the music that was out there, and now I just can't stand it. I can't listen to this stuff for more than like 5 minutes. I lose my fucking brain. So I don't listen to music at all these days, and so that definitely would not be utilized. However, video unlimited may be something I would consider, like I said, depending on how many shows are really going to be shown, how much does it cost. I don't know about the video unlimited package too much, but it is interesting. I may look into it. Okay, everyone, so that's it for my Day 2 E3 coverage. I hope that it was informative for you. And hey, there were even some surprises in there with me getting like informed of these misinformation things right in the middle of me doing a stream, which is pretty funny. Thanks. Tomorrow I will be doing a similar thing. I'll probably be reviewing all the new news coming out of E3 again. And what I may be doing tomorrow is actually looking specifically at certain games. I'm going to see what information I can find on the internet, what if there's new trailers or whatever, gameplay of certain games that I'm really interested in that are coming out and that they're actually displayed at E3. And that may be what I do tomorrow for some of my coverage. And if anything else new happens, obviously I'll be covering that as well. So definitely stick around for this cool week I'm having with E3 and all this news and having a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun covering it for the rest of the week. And then on Thursday, keep in mind, I'm going to have a cumulative podcast. I'm going to do a podcast Thursday night, Hate Live, where I'm going to be doing like a roundup of everything, the biggest stuff that happened this week at E3. Who do I think won E3 in the long run? What are the biggest things, my favorite things that I saw at E3? That's all going to come on Thursday as a segment of my podcast, Hate Live. So definitely be here Thursday for that. If you're watching this on DSPGaming on YouTube, that video will be uploaded to my vlogs only channel, The King of Hate Vlogs, on Thursday night, overnight, okay? So that is it. Thanks a lot for Day 2 of E3 coverage. This is Darkside Phil signing off. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I will leave you with none other than the results of the Sony press conference.